What is Citrix Workflow Studio?
So Workflow Studio is a new product that Citrix is offering that lets you automate your entire delivery center. So any task that you have that you want to run against your Citrix products or third-party products, Citrix Ready products, anything that you have in your data center that you want to automate, you can leverage Citrix Workflow Studio to do that.
And this is all VM stuff using Zen Server?
It supports Zen Server out of the box. It also has out-of-the-box support for System Center Virtual Machine Manager. It has native support for PowerShell, WMI, running applications. Basically, whatever you want to run, you'll be able to do.
Can I get an example?
Sure. So we'll start with a blank workflow here. I'll pull up a really simple one. So on this initial screen that you see, you're able to pick a new workflow based on a template.
Right.
So we ship a bunch of templates out of the box, and I can go back and show you some of those and what's in them. But they give you a pre-built workflow that you can start with that already does something useful, so that you can play with it and then extend it and take it a little bit further.
Yeah, well, what do you call useful?
So this one will start services that are stopped. So this is a very simple workflow that just talks to the local machine services that are running, and will, in this case, it'll pop up a message to the user who's running it and ask you. But you can automate that based on any conditions you want. So you can check if services are stopped and you know that they shouldn't be. You can just have it automatically restart them on some scheduled basis or based on some application not running properly.
So if I was to use this with, for example, Zen Server, if my memory usage spike, could I then have a workflow that says, take this virtual machine and move it over to another hardware platform that has
would be
more
a
capacity?
perfect use for this. And actually, I'm doing.
Is that automated, or would it be a?
So there's not a script that does exactly that, because everybody's environment is going to be a little bit different. But with Workflow Studio, instead of you having to go write scripts or go write PowerShell commands or go figure out how to do it with different APIs for every product you have one tool that gives you a graphical interface to do all of that. So all you do is you drag the tasks on the design pane and you link them together in a workflow, and then you save them off and run them.
Basically a visual developer.
Okay,
Can you create your own task?
Well,
Yes.
what about
Yeah, so
if I wanted
I'll
to
show you.
design a data center with this thing? Could I do that?
If you can think about it, you can do it because everything is open.
So for example, I know I want a SQL server, an AD server, a set of VDI servers. Could I graphically represent it, hit play, and it will load the images and
So
start services up?
we have integration for provisioning server built in. Are you familiar with provisioning server?
Not really, but I know
So
what it does.
if you have the images built for all of those different workloads,
Right?
then you can automate putting those on bare metal hardware or virtual machines and moving them around, maybe even back and forth. Maybe one day you have a higher demand for a certain type of workload. You want to move it to a physical machine and let it have its own physical server to do all of its work. And maybe another day you move it over to a virtual server that you have 3 or 4 other workloads running.
Because like this guy, David here now, he has a set of made servers. Now I'm trying to sell him on Workflow Studio and Zen. Could he bare bone his servers, run Zen server on each, use Workflow Studio to recreate his existing environment in this manner?
So the intent of Workflow Studio is to automate the tasks. So you're probably going to want to build your environment, right? So setting up the actual VMs. But once you have them provisioned, being able to move them around, configure them, control them, absolutely.
Does it support all the